What's going on, guys? Christian here from CK Wraps. Today I'm going to show you how to wrap the driver's side bed of my Jeep Gladiator. This has been, unfortunately, repainted. Very unfortunate because the workmanship was very poor. We're going to show you some of the imperfections. There's an imperfection there. The seal for the gas section is oversprayed big time, so I mean, I'm gonna have to remove it. It's not even that hard to remove. I have no idea why they didn't remove it. It takes like a few minutes. So you might see some imperfections. That's the point I'm getting at. But either way, no paint is perfect. This is just less than OEM standard. We're using Vvivid Colorfusion. This is Stealth Gunmetal Gray. This is a cosmetic paint protection film. This means this is a thermoplastic polyurethane, or TPU. So this is real paint protection with color in it, and it installs dry. Superior to any cast PVC film on the market, this is the way of the future. There was pretty much gonna be no point in using cast or PVC films eventually for car wraps, because when you have the added durability of paint protection film in colors that you want and desire and finishes, there's really just no point in going back to cast or PVC, because you don't get the same longevity or the same protection overall in the end. You get about twice the longevity, much better scratch resistance, like self-healing is incredible. I couldn't even scratch this with a brass brush. Overall, installs pretty easily. So again, dry application. The adhesive is not overly tacky, which is nice. The air release works as well as any other non-pressure sensitive film. It shows red, so I have to make sure that I wrap all the way to this edge here. I'll just cut out the holes and stuff afterwards. May not show all of that, but let's get into it. So I've wiped the surface down with isopropyl alcohol, 70%. I've noted any imperfections that I've came across, and I've used compressed air to blow away any of the loose particles and contamination that might be sitting under this edge and so forth. As you can see, I put masking tape there just because when I cut, I don't want to actually scratch my plastic trim, even though it's broken, so whatever, but I still don't want to scratch it. And I put a piece of knifeless tape in there and remove the rubber seal. Okay, so we're gonna have to come back my way a bit, and that gives me coverage over here. Okay, don't leave your magnets on for too long, though. It's relatively safe because this is about 6.5 mil thick, not millimeters, mil and microns. So your magnets aren't really gonna cause any damage to the film. It's always possible, so just so you know, it's always possible, but it's even less likely when the liner is still on it. Just another thing to keep in mind. You might have noticed that down here, this is where the paint runs are, right down here, but I've wrapped that satin black. This way, when I unwrap and wrap the vehicle each time, I don't have to take the bumper off and wrap this little section here. It's 4 bolts, and there's a couple of plugs, but it's just annoying. Come in underneath, giving myself enough to wrap into the actual wheel well area a bit, cover all that metal. Perfect. It sits a bit nicer now that it's not sitting on the tire and sitting on the fender. Because this film is so pliable, it's a little trickier. So this film is extremely pliable, like it's soft. Softest PPF I've ever felt in my entire life. There's a lot of static there, so that's why we use compressed air to make sure we blow away any loose particles and contamination. I'm just gonna situate this. I'm not gonna go too nuts and stick it down aggressively. Just tack that down lightly. Not that we get any lift lines with this, but try to minimize movement of the film as much as possible. What I can do here, since it's going down really nicely, is I can begin to squeegee and just sort of separate the two areas. We can even go out this way. So I have a body line right there. We're generally gonna take this area here, work this section up, and the rest going down. It's an easy way to do it. Okay, so let's just go in here. I'm gonna release the film from the surface because it squeegees the air out much faster, and I don't like to wait. I do this with every film, doesn't matter if it's more or less pressure sensitive. I don't trust even pressure sensitive films. I always trust my ability more than anything else. Cool, here we're gonna end up pulling it down. I can just leave that there for a second. Let's fix up this side. And again, it doesn't really matter in any particular order the way you wanna work things. Now we have wrinkles crossing over the body line, so we do need to define this a bit better. There's the gas tank area. This one, it's fine. We can actually take this and anchor that right there, and that's all good. We just don't wanna have any wrinkles running across the body lines because that's gonna throw off your defining point from where you're gonna squeegee up and where you're gonna squeegee down. try to lift quickly because it allows the film to not stretch too much as you lift. Let's go in here, just keep that elevated, beautiful. And then I'm just gonna give that a slight pull upwards around that bend and continue on here. So this is where all the imperfections were in my paint. Now you can see them, really obvious now. Depending on the finish and colors and stuff like that, some hide it more, some show it more, so it just depends. Right down here, we're gonna pop that up a bit there, cool. So I did squeegee there already. Always overlap your passes, it's super important. And then right here, oops, a little more pressure. And right here, I was gonna give this a bit of a pull going downwards, just to help it contour around this area here on the inside. Now it's sort of naturally pulling itself around the inner edge, which is exactly what I wanted. As I squeegee, I'm just making sure that I'm not sticking to the tape or the trim on the other side. That prevents any tension at the edge. I am gonna wrap underneath it, obviously, but since it is broken, it's even easier to do that. So I guess there's a plus side to it being broken. I'm gonna take care of this first before moving on to this section here. So let's get rid of all of this and then pop it out. Fix up here, there's no uniformity here. There we go. Just give that a bit of a pull. Nice, okay. We don't wanna wait too long because as with any non-pressure sensitive film, it's time sensitive, so you're able to squeegee right away. If you don't wait too long, you can squeegee out really nicely. And I'm just keeping the end open slightly to make things go even faster. But there's some air left right here, so I'm just gonna open that up. Be thorough. Let's see the air release does work. You can just push down your bubbles if you want to. You just don't wanna sit there and squeegee out 100 different bubbles. We're gonna work this right into the inner edge right here, but we still have to go much further. But we might as well just get that right to that edge. Good. The rest of the fender will cover, but not from the underside. All right, because I've always wrapped this vehicle in chrome, I usually do a slit here so I can work the bottom section and the top section. I'm thinking that I probably don't need to do a slit because we're working with a much more pliable film. So we want to keep our hands somewhat close and expand outwards when we do this. Just like that. And this is normally where I would get my bunching, right? So we're getting bunching at the top, but we should be okay. Again, look, just no heat to do this. Crazy. A little tighter here, we have a bit too much slack. Bring that back just a bit. Hand positioning, super important. And I'm trying to pull outwards on an angle upwards so we don't get too many of these fingers or wrinkles at an edge. It's very smooth there, we've got a couple there, but that's okay. Nice and smooth all the way through here, that's good. And then we're gonna do the same thing down here. Now normally I also have the rear bumper on, which makes doing this area very tricky because the bumper sticks out. In this situation, I have the bumper off, so I'll take advantage of the bumper being off. And I still have to squeegee some air that I noticed coming in right around here. There we go. All right, we're gonna come up to right about there, hands over top, expanding the film. It's honestly wild. It's like I'm using the easiest to stretch film ever. Okay, we're gonna find our satin black inlay right down there. That's right there. Make sure we don't have to stretch down over it. that the film is just sort of naturally, or I can massage it over top. This is hopefully naturally just sitting there though, it's perfect. Do some little bit of massaging, but no stretching, okay? Now we have our line of where our inlay is. We want to make sure we're overlapping our inlay. I could have done it in gray, but if I ever wrap the Jeep again, which I probably will, I don't want to have to take the bumper off. We're far away, so I'm just adding warmth to the film, really. It's 20 degrees, 21 degrees Celsius in the shop. So it's warm, it's just room temperature. And that room temperature does give quite a bit of pliability to the film, but just this added little bit of extra heat right here, this warmth, probably brings it up to maybe like 30 degrees Celsius, or let's say like, what's that, 80, 85 Fahrenheit? Probably 85 or so Fahrenheit. Super nice, super easy. It's okay, I got a crease there. We're gonna lift that up, hold that flat. Another one right there. It's just because I'm trying to stay out of your way. I have my heat gun set to high, but I control the temperature by distance and time, how long I have it there for. Okay, let's do this corner down here. Pull that slightly tight, just like that. Get that hooked in there nicely, like so. Great. Just gonna keep that flat, so I'm not stretching it, I'm just keeping it tight to keep it flat. There we go. I should have got a black Jeep. Wouldn't have had to do this. People wonder why sometimes, or why different colors cost more to wrap. Okay, let's finish this. There's a little gap right there. Perfect. Let's go across here. Anytime you do any cutting like this, you're always going to heat that edge afterwards. You can heat it in the moment, like once you finish your cut, or you can just heat it afterwards. All right, top edge. Let's do the top edge. Let's do some cutting here. This is a long cut. There's little tricks that you can use. You can put your squeegee there, and you can use that to kind of create some space. But what you want to make sure is that you can definitively see this edge right here. This is very important, okay? We're gonna get in here. So we're gonna leave ourselves about 1/8 of an inch. I'm not gonna go right to the very corner. I'm gonna cut right here, point down. I almost want to hear the tape so I know that I cut through. You can hear it right now. It's okay if I want a little wobble right there. It's no problem at all. It's jumping a bit just because it's not tight, which is probably, let's just check, probably not going to cut through in a couple of small spots. No, it did, okay. If you're concerned about cutting through your tape even, put 2, 3, 4, put 24 pieces of tape down, doesn't matter. Okay, it's jumping again, so I'm just going to double check that it is cutting through. Let's lift it, stuck here. Okay, it's still going. I can actually lift and cut at the same time too, so that didn't work out so well. It's actually not working out as well. See how it's sticking? So we're gonna go back to the way we were doing it. And we don't wanna leave too much to tuck underneath because depending on how tight these plastic trims are, it can be very difficult to tuck in too much film. It'll only go so far as well because there's clips there that will end up blocking the film from going any further. Okay, so I'm not gonna go too nuts around this section here. I'm gonna divide this off because this is not clean enough yet for me. So we're gonna add a bit of heat to it, which is what I want to do. So I'm just massaging it upwards. Film doesn't stick to the tape because of the waxy surface. Okay, that's fine. This is about as good as it will get. This is a compound curve, so I would have had to have stretched more this way to eliminate any of this excess film. Is what it is. It's not tension, it's just excess film. Let's go a little bit higher here. because I know that it's really loose on the back section. And I'll be able to tuck in a little further. See, it's tough to cut when you're pulling it, just because it's TPU. My blade's sharp, I just snapped one off. And look, there we go, okay. So what we're gonna do is pop this up and force with the hard edge of our squeegee. And we might have some wrinkles underneath the trim, but who cares? I really don't. There's actually almost none by the time I made it all the way in there. And then now let's work our way back. So I'm just using the squeegee to elevate the trim. This is mostly doable when the trim even isn't broken. Sometimes you need a thinner squeegee, but I can feel that it's super loose, like all these clips in the middle are broken. And then again, it gets tighter down here. A lot tighter. And there's like 20 clips that go all the way down this thing. So I know there's one broken one at the end, or maybe two even. Cool, so we're not gonna go right to the end very yet. We're just gonna stop there. We're gonna check that out. That looks super clean. Everything's tucked away, no red showing. Now, I know this goes in about 1/4 of an inch. If you're ever curious or need to know and you won't remember, you think you won't remember, take a picture and then you can go back to your phone and check it out afterwards. See how far in you gotta go. But just in case, let's go leave ourselves a little bit more. Now, I'm gonna have to, again, like I said, take this out. I'm gonna snap a blade off again. Take this out and get rid of all the red paint that's oversprayed on my rubber seal or on the plastic insert, because I'm not wrapping over top of that. And it sucks, but it's just what it is. And to be honest, the most likely place for the paint to fail when I remove the wrap is going to be from the inside edge in here. Now with most films like cast or PVC, dragging your wrap stick like that has a very high chance of cutting through the film, but since this is TPU, the chance is much, much lower. I actually have not yet been able to cut it. I have a fresh blade. It's gonna be a little tricky, I think. We're gonna see, just because of the type of material and also the overspray paint. But I wanna have my knife right between the gap where the seal meets the metal. Probably gonna hear some funny stuff maybe. There's a little bit of jumping there. I don't like jumping because that creates an uneven cut. Just because the film's a little bit loose. But the very end of my knife is right in between that gap. Okay, here we go. That's just my fingers if you hear anything. Straight cuts are always easier. It's the curve that are tough. Come back a bit this way. Yeah, I'm not sure how well I did over there, so we're just gonna remove this very slowly. Check that out, see, it's what a mess. You'll probably just put some wrap over top of it and start pulling away at it. I don't know. Okay, so that's what I'm left with. Unfortunately, you can start to see the paint coming off of the rubber seal there. And again, like I said, this is a very likely place for the wrap to fail, but also peel the paint off. So if you ever go to remove the wrap, be really mindful in this area and go slow, take your time as slow as you can. Because removing wrap that's on anything that's been repainted is a very, very high chance of failure or taking the wrap paint off with it. Okay, but we need another cut and fold right there. So I'm gonna snap a blade off again. It's already like 3 blades, way more blades than I would use doing a cast or PVC film. Again, choose which way you wanna fold it. We'll go this way. I've got to let the knifeless tape out because it's preventing me from folding the other piece inwards. So let's go like that now. There we go. I'm stuck here. 1 second. Again, the rubber seal covers pretty much all that anyways, but cut and fold, you can barely tell there's a cut and fold right there. Because this is precision line, so this is a steel cable, and it cuts the PPF or TPU better. At least if I have to do any freehand cutting, it'll just be a little tiny section at the bottom. Try to get snapped again, it's okay. So we're gonna remove, and don't mind all this, this was wrapped and I take the roof off and on all the time, so it begins to chip away at the wrap. This has been wrapped since the very beginning, since the first time I ever wrapped it, almost 5 years ago now. So let's get in there, push the edge down. This film works tremendously well. It's very, it's very easy in a sense. It's not easy in a sense because this will pull back way harder on you than cast or PVC film. So overstretching this is really bad news. You have to really make sure that your edges do not have any tension, using the appropriate heat and so forth. So there is a learning curve to this, even just cutting it's different. This even is a bit more challenging to cut than clear PPF. It doesn't score the same way due to the multi-layers in the adhesive and the pigmentation on top of the film, or on top of the adhesive side. So it is a little bit trickier to use in that sense, or to cut. There's a learning curve to this. I did do sample panels before I went right into this, because I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was going to be experiencing and knew what I was going to be talking about. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have to get that cleaned up. I look forward to doing more videos for you. Thank you for watching as always. I appreciate it. Take care.